What's going on, Southeast Michigan Podcast? Daniel back here with you. And, man, what a weekend, right? Week 2, the NFL season is officially underway. Fantasy football, full swing. It was a good weekend for me personally, for the most part. Michigan lost, of course, but both my fantasy teams won some money in the process. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Southern Michigan Podcast, of course, is free and available wherever you get them. Up on YouTube, click the bell for notifications, subscribe there, and if you could, please rate the show. And thank you again for all the support that the show I've seen. You guys help us grow, and of course, would like to do more giveaways to show my appreciation for all that stuff. Kind of got a lot to get to. I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible. I still need to collab and link up with Jeff so we can potentially review the Science Sailor doc, but we're going to get into Texas first this week and then review kind of the college landscape. Last week we did college landscape and then Fresno State. This episode we're going to flip it. We're going to do a little bit of a different flow here. We're going to get right into Texas, okay? Let me get this off the screen real quick. Let's get into it. So yeah, segment 1, we'll review Texas. Segment 2, review the other games. We'll get into Arkansas State in segment 3. We'll get into the betting picks and games I'm watching for this upcoming weekend. Okay, so let's talk about it. Okay, Texas blows out Michigan. Okay, it's not pretty. I don't even know the score. I don't remember the score, and I don't want to remember the score. But let's get into the stat lines. All right. Since 2021, Michigan has only rushed for less than 100 yards as a team 3 times. Versus Texas this past weekend, 82 yards. 66 versus Iowa in the Big Ten Championship last December, and 91 against Georgia in the Orange Bowl. Davis Warren, 22 of 33 for 204 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Donovan Edwards, 8 carries, 41 yards. Khalil Mullings, 6 carries for 25 yards. Colston Loveland, 8 catches for 70 yards and a fumble. Samaj Morgan, 5 catches for 45 yards and a touchdown late. Michigan's defense didn't even record a sack. Overall thoughts on this game was absolutely brutal to watch. Felt confident going in that Michigan could still win by field goal as I predicted, but this game definitely highlighted the key areas of alarm bells. And truth be told, I think it was about 7 minutes and like 40 seconds. I ended up just turning the game off. I had a wedding later on that night, anyways. I believe we had to get out the door by at least 4:30 to drop the kids off, and to be there by like 5:30 for the ceremony. And so, the game's still going on for a little bit as we're heading out the door. But one, I think it was either the man, I can't remember. I don't know if it was a Loveland fumble or it was the second interception. There was just some tipping point in the game where I said, "The hell with this! I'm not watching anymore." I do give credit to the fans and the student section for hanging out there into the second half. I think probably about end of the third quarter, and it looked like on TV that a lot of Michigan fans were kind of sticking around and hopefully potentially witnessing a historic comeback. But it just was not the case. Now let's go into the defense first, and then we'll get into the offense. Regarding my thoughts. So defense. What happened to the fundamentals? Tackling and communication was visibly non-existent. Defensive line could not generate pressure almost unless they sent a blitz. Texas was picking on Jair Hill all day, and I'm not a current or former coach, but my God, Hill was just an absolute liability out there. This game of college football is messy at times. We are watching 18 to 22-year-olds for the most part playing on a massive stage. And even before NIL, sometimes as fans we can get carried away, at barking at these guys, these kids. But at the same time, this is a high-level competitive sport with a ton of intricacies invested into it. And I personally never tweet directly at players, but I recall at the time of a Michigan game, I was venting on Twitter about, this is years ago. The mother or sister of said player was coming at me on there for hating on their person. I did tweet a couple of times this past Saturday critical things of Hill, but again, I'm not actually, I'm not adding them or mentioning them. But Hill looked lost at times and caught out of position. McCarty Page didn't look great either. He was caught flat-footed several times. Jayshon Barham was constantly seen trailing a Texas ball carrier. Just looked like he was trying to chase the neighborhood cat. Missed assignments in the flats. Longhorn tight end and running backs were just eating up yards in the flat and down the boundaries. Gunnar Helm was a problem. Several times, Michigan defenders had a Longhorn ball carrier dead to rights behind the line of scrimmage or right at it, and they just let them get away. They slipped away. I feel this defense is still elite with guys or set with elite guys. I'm not throwing in the towel, but this game needed complementary football, and we didn't get it. It also didn't help that Texas was 10 of 16 on third down, and in the first half it was a lot better percentage-wise. And in the first half, it just could not be stopped. You could see Kenneth Grant and others breathing through their mouth after the second drive. Texas doubled Michigan's time of possession in the first half. It at the end of the day balanced out, with garbage time and some minor adjustments, but it did not look in favor for the blue. Texas did a good job with an up-tempo flow that kept Wink from subbing between plays. Now, the second half, I felt like Coach Sarkisian could have probably ran up the score a little bit more. Maybe not. Maybe Michigan's defense truly did make a few adjustments and settled in. But, they just look like a step behind everywhere. And, of course, the fan bases, we're going to hear it all season long. Of course, the fan bases are, that's what happens when you don't have signs. Just spare me. Just spare me. We're not going to delve into that and go off on a tangent, like I sometimes do. But they definitely got outcoached. I thought in the first quarter, at least, I felt like Michigan was kind of holding their own at times. And I wasn't really about to say, oh, it was the coaches yet. I felt like it was just, miscommunication and poor execution on the players' part. But boy, they got out schemed. I felt like Don Brown was running this defense. I don't know what is going on, but they just look like they did not watch any film whatsoever, period. And, if Quinn Ewers is going to have 4 to 5 seconds on dropbacks, I mean, at some point, a wide receiver, or tight end, an offensive weapon is going to get open at some point, right? You have to get him moving. You have to get him off his feet. It was rough. It was rough to watch. Let's get into the offense, okay? Good God, is this horrendous? Again, I hate shitting on these guys individually here, but again, college football is on the biggest stage it's ever been, and so whether they're getting paid, whether they're not. Back in the day, till now, a lot of people have blood, sweat, money, precious time. We have a lot invested in this game, this sport, whether you're a fan, player, or coach. Okay, so I know I think Khalid Hill, tweeted something about you gotta basically we gotta back our guys. We can't be yip yapping. But the thing is like this is a competitive sport. There's gonna be criticism. It's just unless you're being unless as you're doing it, I'm gonna say tastefully, as long as you're not being a piece of shit, you're not DMing these guys, you're not sending death threats. I think it's kind of fair game, honestly. Like I said, I've had some Twitter interactions out there a few times, whatever. A couple players had me blocked. I'd never added them or anything like that, so they probably just came across something I said that bothered them, and it is what it is. But I'm not going to, you know, make fun of the dude's family. You know what I'm saying? But as a fan, diehard, whether I went to the Michigan University or not, it's part of the game. It's part of the beast. All right, and that's enough of that. Let's get into the offense, okay? Um, we got to address this. David Warren has had basically two full games of tape. Okay, one good Power Five team in Fresno State, and a well coached Fresno State team, and another who will be in the top four come playoff time, which is Texas. You know, I've seen enough. I believe. I feel like we need at minimum a 4 or 5 drive uh, set of of plays for Alex Orji. Like full playbook, give him 4 or 5 drives. Fans have recalled the other pass he has. That's not the touchdown to Edwards last week of not being a good sign. Like he threw it short. But that's a play whether either he might have thrown it away, had a kind of lingering defender there, or just the timing was off. But we've seen Davis Warren for almost 2 full games. What's worse than having Alex Orji get some reps in there? Give him 4 or 5 drives. Who cares? It's Arkansas State. This is the perfect opponent. Um, I believe I'm going to say experiment because I didn't want to be experimenting at this time of this point in the season, but we got to see what we have. We have 4 or 5, 6 quarterbacks on this roster that are, to our knowledge, about the same level, and so we have to see which cream rises to the top here. Um, it's clear Jane Davis is not in the plan yet, and apparently is redshirted for the future. Maybe that's changed. Maybe they comment on in this week's press conferences. But this season cannot be an experiment to get through 2025 for a run. Let's run it now. Warren is consistently throwing off his back foot, and when he has time, or he's just throwing off his back foot when he has time, or heaving prayers when his offensive line are blocking themselves, and the defender's in his face. So it's like one or the other. There's a play this past weekend where Giovanni El-Hadi and maybe it was a Josh Preeb, they literally run face mask to face mask into each other, and that's just meme material. Um, Warren's second interception, he threw high and away, and it should have been at the receiver's belly button or his knees, and alas, off his back foot. And again, he had several instances where Texas defenders are sprinting full go right at him unblocked, and I get it, but you have to take care of the football, and that second interception was absolutely awful. Um, so yeah, the play calling was also horrendous. More predictable nonsense. The line can't block. The route trees are seemingly 5 yards short of the first down markers, and the screenplays take way too long to develop, and nobody can block on the edge. When you have balance, the quarterback swap run packages work. 2023 it worked. 2024 does not. So can we stop putting in number 10 for one run play to just toss number 16 back in? It's absolutely absurd. It didn't make any sense. Last year you kind of rolled it out there seemingly for the first time, and you had JJ McCarthy back there, and you had obviously a better offensive line. You just had everyone that's not here this year last year, and because of that balance of power, it worked. This year, it's not. Nobody respects your passing game. Quit throwing in. You're just telling the opposing team defenses, you know, you're just showing your hand. And again, that first drive against Fresno State where Alex Orji dumps it down for a pitch and catch touchdown. Like, again, masterful isn't the word I'd use, but I thought it was pretty brilliant that you caught the other team off guard. You know, do something like that, a little bit more intricate against Texas. Um, can't even get into the wide receiver really because I'm not even sure what the hell where they're at. Do we have any? You know, Peyton O'Leary's running routes out there. Kendrick Bell's running routes out there. Tyler Morris, Samaj Morgan. Um, I don't know if I have. I don't think I wrote this down, but I was thinking about it. On the way to work Monday. It seemingly like Samaj Morgan, like none of the receivers have that speed that we've seen last year, unless Texas is just on a whole nother tier. I don't know what it is. And with regards to the route trees, you know, I understand Loveland is a beast and you got to feed him, but I mean, Warren made him look like a check down the entire game. You got the wide receivers running down the hash marks, going past the sticks, and then Colson Loveland is running a 5 yard hitch, and it's 3rd and 9, and just he catches it and he's instantly tackled because he's got a linebacker on him or a safety. It's like, what's the point? What's the point? Running backs stat wise, Donovan outrushed Mullings, but my goodness, Edwards is bad. I still say the coaches are criminals for not using Edwards in the slot or wildcat. We've seen him throw a couple times, in his career. One was a freshman, or one as a freshman for a touchdown in the Big Ten championship. Get this freaking dude in space. Mullings to me is still the RB1, but I mentioned last week about Edwards' vision. Joe Klatt rang that bell during the broadcast here. Dude needs to be more patient. Um, a couple of his biggest runs were off a second step and or the defense isn't gap sound or both. A la the Natty game versus Washington. Runs into everyone, his offensive lineman's ass cheeks, and then bounces out through the hole. Um, it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch. The dude has so much talent, and he's been such a big key piece of this 3 year run. And I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Again, absolutely criminal. He's not used like Austin Eckler. It absolutely just baffles me. Absolutely baffles me. It's almost worthy of picketing in the streets. Special teams is good, I guess, right? You ain't got to worry about special teams. Got another good field goal kicker. You know, Tommy Doman or whatever Joe Schmo's punting for us, whatever. He's getting his reps in. So um, you know, the New England Patriots will probably draft another Michigan punter. Who knows? Closing thoughts up to this point. Let's see what we have in our quarterback stable with the other guys, right? As I mentioned earlier, Jeff Johnson wrote in a couple weeks ago asking my take on the leash regarding the quarterback room. Um, Apparently long because Warren has had a fair shot to kick us off. Let's see Orgy this weekend. Fundamentals, poor communication, missed assignments, or all the things that need addressed. And after what I witnessed from other Big Ten teams this weekend, Michigan could be in trouble versus most of them. And I'm being dead serious. Like, that's including Nebraska and Indiana. Well, we're borderline 2017 right now. Like, Nebraska, Dylan Raiola, I mean, he already looks better than Drew Aller. He already kind of looks better than Will Howard. I mean, he's definitely top two, top three in the Big Ten this year so far. And I know it's only been 2 games, but I mean, if we were playing Indiana this week, I'd be like, who's hammering the over? I you know we'll get in Indiana a little bit here later when we talk about games coming up this weekend, but yeah, I don't know how I feel, and even with Illinois, like no game is a guaranteed feeling right now. Um, that's really all I got for Texas. I don't think I've missed anything. Um, a lot of a lot of the analysts on College Game Day, I think Reese Davis's bitch ass was, you know, calling for a blowout. I listened to a couple other podcasts, whatever, and some of the other panelists were calling for a blowout too, and I didn't believe it. I really did not believe it. I truly thought Michigan could have a bounce back game and play Texas competitively, and it just did not look like it. So out of sorts, out of whack, out of fits, whatever. They need to get back to the drawing board and iron this shit out because this was egregious. So I'm not throwing in the towel. I no matter how bad a Michigan team is, I still will watch it some way or another, whether I'm in a stadium or I'm at home watching on TV. Hell or high water, I'll watch the games 100%. We'll be talking about it here on the show. Doesn't matter. We're here for the long haul and for the eternity. So, anyways, when we come back, we'll get into segment 2, which is reviewing the other games from week 2. All right, segment 2, Southeast Michigan podcast. Let's get into the rest of the games that took place. Um, it's a lot. It's a lot more fun this year too. Last year we did our week to week episodes similar like this. We've mixed it up a little bit. I kind of dropped a few things, but I kind of like talking about other teams for sure. And kind of going into this year, I normally, like I told you in one of the preview episodes, I normally don't like to watch out of conference games. I usually like to watch Michigan and other Big Ten contests, whatever. But of course, we are also in the non-conference part of the schedule. I don't know. It's just been a new door for me personally. Like, I've been watching other teams, other games, and it might sound silly, but it's new to me. Like normally, you know, I know I don't know how to say it. I know Nebraska and Colorado just played but normally I honestly wouldn't care. But that game had intrigue, and so that's where I'm at. All right, so week 2, a lot of teams looking lackluster, right? A lot of teams look sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought there. A lot of teams look lackluster. Notre Dame, drops a grumper versus Northern Illinois in what should have been one of the worst sets of all time. But unfortunately, 2007 happened. The App State Michigan game still outshines it. Unfortunately, the Huskies kicked a go-ahead field goal with 31 seconds left. Notre Dame attempted a 62-yarder with some little time left, and Northern Illinois blocked it. So this is not the first time that Notre Dame has dropped a game to a MAC level opponent. They lost to Marshall a couple years ago. It's you figured. I mean, losing 2 games like that to those type of opponents, you feel like that would make people forget about App State, but it still happened. Either way, as a Notre Dame fan, I'd be absolutely furious. There should be absolutely no way in hell that the Fighting Irish should lose to Northern Illinois. Notre Dame has some of the best recruiting classes year in and year out. Like a blind shaved monkey could be the assistant recruiting director or a head coach, whatever. They could have a blind pig. They could have a blind T-Rex. It doesn't matter. They could have Stephen Hawking back there recruiting, and you know, there as a head coach, and Notre Dame would recruit in the top 5 every year. It baffles me, but it was fun. I was at the wedding reception at that point, and we all watched this on our phones, and I thought it was quite hilarious. So I guess after getting our rear ends destroyed at home by Texas, it was kind of cool to see someone else suffer, right? Joy in the misery of others. Down 24, or excuse me, down 20-14 at halftime. The Oregon Ducks came back to beat Boise State 37-34. Broncos running back Ashton Gianti repeated another stellar week with a hat trick worth of touchdowns and 192 yards. Oregon squeaking by so far. Bowling Green gave Penn State all they could handle. At half, Bowling Green was up 24-20 and could only muster 3 points in the second half, falling 34-27. Because of the Michigan game, I didn't step away from it to tune in here too much, but BG was able to sack Drew Aller a few times, and wide receiver Harold Fannin Jr. tallied 11 receptions for 137 yards and a touchdown. The Nittany Lions were able to run for 234 yards, however. So that was definitely a game where, when you checked your phone, or maybe you guys did flip from game to game, whatever. But I did peer in, and obviously when you're watching the game, they'll give you like a 4 or 5 second update from another game. But this one was looking scary for Penn State fans. Bowling Green definitely not intimidated going in Happy Valley. Kyle McCord and Syracuse looked good as well, 31-28 over Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets were everyone's favorite on game day, and McCord tossed 4 tutties for the W. Iowa State takes down Iowa 20-19. Cade McNamara has a back to reality type game, 13 for 29. Ugh. 99 yards and 2 picks. Absolutely disgusting. Hawkeye running back Caleb Johnson, who I feel like has been there since the Barack Obama administration, did work on the ground for a pair of touchdowns, 187 yards. Cyhawk Trophy going back to the Cyclones. Yeah, those are really it. Those are about the highlights. We probably could add a little bit more, but we are pressing time. But um, but yeah. When we come back, though, we are going to get into segment 3. So I kept segment 2 short there, reviewing those games. Let's get into segment 3. We'll talk Arkansas State preview, games I'm watching this weekend, and some betting picks. When our community wins with us, we want to ensure you've maximized your ROI. Line shopping for the best odds matters, and that is why any profitable sports bettor needs to be using multiple sports books. Thankfully, there's never been a better time to get signed up, and we're here to connect you with the best promotions industry-wide. Using our link, signupexpert.com/southeast, you can get access to all the sportsbooks in your region, along with a review of each platform and its unique features. Most importantly, this page automatically connects you to the top promotions of each book, allowing you to start line shopping with an enhanced bankroll. If you want to take advantage of these benefits and support our brand, please sign up for your next sportsbook at signupexpert.com/southeast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, back at it here for segment 3 to close this episode out. Let's get into the Arkansas State preview. It's a non-conference lowly opponent. Not going to get into too much crucial detail in terms of coaching staff and all that jargon, but Arkansas State at Michigan, 12 Eastern, Big Ten Network. I think Jake Butt will be on the call. Michigan 23.5-point favorites, and the over/under is set at 48.5 via FanDuel. The Red Wolves are 2-0 and have beaten Central Arkansas 34-31 and Tulsa 28-24. Quarterback Jalen Raynor has thrown for 572 yards, more than Michigan combined, and 3 touchdowns with 2 picks. Raynor is also the leading rusher on the team in yards and has 2 rushing touchdowns. Running back Zach Wallace has a pair of tutties as well, with 119 yards on the season, 3 yards behind Raynor, the quarterback. Wide receiver Corey Rucker has 13 catches for 239 and 2 touchdowns. Defense has 2 sacks, and the offensive line has allowed 4 sacks. The Red Wolves allowed 235 rushing yards versus Central Arkansas and 163 versus Tulsa. So when I see that, I feel like Michigan could potentially look like its ordinary self, just judging by the face value of those numbers. This is a non-conference and weak opponent. I know Michigan has struggled to cover the spread these last 2 seasons this earlier in the year, but I think Michigan blows the doors open, mostly on the ground. If Michigan can move the ball on the ground, kind of like Central Arkansas, I think we might even see. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like Washington in 2021, where they just ran the ball and ran the ball more and again, and Cade McNamara would throw the ball every like 19th play, something like that. I believe they're going to set the tone early with the ground and pound. I think we're going to see a lot of Mullings and Edwards again here, and if Michigan comes out flat and we see more of the same, this will look like Bowling Green last year, how that game transpired. JJ McCarthy throwing a hat trick full of picks. Michigan wins if, they are going to win, but if Michigan wins, they are going to have to actually establish an identity like the one offensive coordinator Kirk Campbell talked about this week. Kirk Campbell, this isn't verbatim what he said, but basically said their identity is downhill, running football with speed on the outside and feeding on that play action. So let's see it, fam. I want to see fundamentals. Defense needs to be in the right places and not caught out of position or becoming burnt toast. Generate pressure with down linemen without having to blitz. That's another thing. Don't turn the ball over. Simple. Arkansas State 10, Michigan 41. I would say I'm probably like 80-20 in that, confident in that score. Again, if Michigan doesn't cover, it could be like Bowling Green, like I said, from 2023. But if Michigan is able to lean on that run game, I think Sharon Moore would be more than happy to focus solely on the line of scrimmage because his offensive line has been absolutely horrendous and not consistent at all, missed assignments. So this is what they used to call a tune-up game, and so I think that's what they'll be focusing on. Games I'm watching this weekend. Number 24 Boston College travels to number 6 Missouri. We're going to find out if the Eagles are for real on the road. So far, Tigers haven't played much competition. And BC was able to humiliate the Seminoles already. Granted, FSU might not be that good either, but we'll see where they stand at what Tiger Stadium, Phillips, whatever the hell Missouri's called. I don't know. Who cares? Number 9 Oregon at Oregon State, rivalry game on the road. The Ducks have squeaked by so far. OSU isn't the same OSU as last year, but will still be a prove it or lose it for Dan Lanning. So you want to go out there and kind of see as as an Oregon Duck, want to see a team improvement somewhere. Hopefully get to put a thumbprint on or a stamp on this one and look like your ordinary self, high flying offense. They haven't been able to make it look pretty just yet. Indiana traveling to UCLA, 7:30 Eastern on NBC. UCLA has only played one game, and it was a fugly one versus Hawaii. I believe that one was 16-13. UCLA was a 13.5 favorite for that one. IU has been lighting up the scoreboard, but against weak opponents. Let's see if the Hoosiers welcome the Bruins to the Big Ten with a loss. As a we've done those previews for these teams. Indiana, I said they were going to go 3-9 and not win a single conference game. So, they're doing what I thought they were going to do, but not at the level they're doing it. I didn't think they were going to put up 77 points against, Lawrence Tech. I think it was like Gardner Webb. I don't know I can't remember who they played this past weekend, but they put up like 70 something points, right? The week before that was pretty decent. So, maybe they hit a brick wall eventually. And, UCLA is not, an A-list opponent either, but you can't take them lightly. They're going to have a lot of talent on their team in certain spots, but let's see what the Hoosiers can do traveling to the West Coast. It's still going to be a weird conference game to see, the Creamsicles versus the Power Blue Bruins, whatever. I don't even know what kind of color they're specifically called, but also don't care. All right, my betting picks this weekend this past weekend, excuse me, week 2. We went 2-1 overall. Excuse me, we went 2-1. We're 3-4 overall in the season. I took Syracuse on the money line and it hit. Took Ohio State to cover, that hit. But Kansas and Illinois fell on the under. I believe that was like 55.5 or so, and that came up quite short. I think they were 25 points short of that. Or maybe 15, something like that. So let's keep it up. Let's go 2-1 again here, at least this weekend. I'm taking Liberty minus 23.5 over UTEP. Liberty hasn't really blown anyone out yet, but UTEP is absolutely horrendous. They're awful. So give me Liberty in the points. Um, Next, I'm taking Indiana minus 156 on the money line over UCLA. So yes, Indiana is a favorite. I believe they are a 2-point favorite in some books, 3 in most. So yeah, Hoosiers. And lastly, I'm also going to go money line. I'm taking the Rainbow Warriors plus 152. Um, you know, I might be just falling in love with some of these these teams that are keeping it close, but it is what it is. So Indiana on the money line, Hawaii on the money line, and Liberty to cover. So there we at, folks. Again, appreciate you for tuning into the show again. The Southeast Michigan podcast, like I said, is free and available wherever you watch or listen. Hit us up on the socials. You can follow me on the show Twitter, and always welcoming discourse. I think maybe next week, after we see this game, right before we get into Big Ten conference play, I'll maybe think about running another mailbag and kind of see where everyone, all you listeners, are at and how you're feeling. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Anyways, go blue, y'all. See you next time.